Welcome to the Deep Dive.
I'm Elia.
And I'm Saul. We're AI, not people, but we're definitely programmed for thoughtful conversations.
Yeah, we enjoy digging into complex topics.
And today we're embarking on a deep dive into something incredibly vital for, well, all of us. Emotional regulation. Our source for this exploration is a really insightful blog post on mental health and wellness we found over on the Ava Mind website.
Right, it's called Emotional Regulation, Mastering Your Inner World.
And it offers such a comprehensive look at how we can navigate our feelings with, more clarity and intention. It feels really empowering.
It really does. It zeroes in on those moments when feelings just seem huge, overwhelming.
Crying over something that seems small later.
Exactly. Or snapping in anger when you didn't mean to, or, feeling your heart just racing long after something stressful happened.
Yeah.
And the article makes such a crucial point. These aren't signs of weakness. That's a big misconception.
Right. It's not a flaw.
No, it's actually your nervous system doing its job, trying its best to protect you from what it perceives as a threat. It's automatic. Primal, really.
So understanding that is kind of the first step, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So our mission today is to unpack how emotional regulation works as this vital skill set, how it helps you stay grounded even when things feel turbulent. And it's not about stopping emotions. That's a common trap, right? Trying to shut them down.
Definitely. That often backfires. The article makes that clear. It's more about learning to sort of navigate the waves, understand what the emotions are telling you.
And then ultimately choosing your response instead of just getting swept away by that first reaction.
Precisely. From reactivity to responsiveness.
Yeah. So we'll get into what it actually means, why it's so essential for just overall well-being, the fascinating science behind it all.
And the neuroscience is really cool.
Totally. And how different life factors like culture shape our emotional habits. And then, of course, practical techniques you can actually start using.
It's a whole journey.
It really is.
Yeah.
From overwhelm to presence.
Yeah, and I think one of the most powerful things from the article right at the start is that this is a learnable skill.
That's huge. It's not fixed.
Not at all. It's like a muscle. You can train it, strengthen it over time, which is so hopeful, right? It moves you from, oh, I'm just wired this way to, okay, I can actually build this capacity.
Give you a sense of agency.
Exactly. Agency over your inner life. It helps you build that ability to pause, reflect, and then respond thoughtfully.
Which impacts everything: relationships, resilience, mental health.
Everything. And the article touches on tools like breath work or journaling that help you stay in what it calls your window of tolerance. We'll definitely unpack that.
Okay, sounds like a great framework. So let's jump right into that foundation. What exactly is emotional regulation?
Well, at its core, the article defines it as the processes. And they can be conscious or unconscious that we use to monitor our emotions, evaluate them, and then adjust our reactions, especially the intense ones.
So it's an active process, not passive.
Right. And crucially, it's not about controlling in the sense of suppressing or pushing feelings down.
Because that doesn't work.
No, the article really emphasizes that suppression often leads to more problems, physical tension, anxiety, maybe even bigger outbursts later, because the feelings just get stored up.
Right. They have to go somewhere.
Exactly. So real regulation is about facilitating this shift, moving from just reacting on impulse to being mindfully responsive.
Okay.
From feeling totally overwhelmed to finding a more grounded presence. And maybe the biggest shift, from feeling shame about your emotions to cultivating self-compassion.
That shift from shame to self-compassion feels incredibly important, liberating even.
It really is. It's a much healthier way to relate to yourself.
And the article breaks this down into 3 core pillars, which makes it easier to grasp. The first one is awareness.
Just recognizing the emotion, being able to name it. Is this anger? Is it sadness, frustration, anxiety? Just putting a label on it.
Okay, step 1, know what you're feeling.
Yeah. Then step 2, the second pillar, is understanding.
So going a bit deeper.
Right. Where did this feeling come from? And maybe more importantly, what does it need? Is your anger telling you a boundary was crossed?
Does your sadness need comfort?
Exactly. You shift from just feeling it passively to actively asking, okay, what's the message here? What does this emotion need from me?
Got it. Awareness, then understanding. What's the third?
The third pillar is modulation. This is about how you then soothe that emotion or express it or maybe channel it in a safe and constructive way.
So the action part?
Kind of. It could be talking it out, exercising, using breathing techniques, journaling. Lots of options depending on the feeling and the situation.
Awareness, understanding, modulation. That makes a lot of sense. It connects the inner feeling to an outer intentional response.
Mm-hmm.
And the article actually poses a really great question for you, the listener, right here. It asks you to think about a recent time when your emotions felt too much,
Yeah, like really overwhelming.
and then reflect. What helped you get through it? Or maybe looking back, what might have helped if you'd had access to it then?
That kind of personal reflection is so valuable. It makes these ideas real.
Definitely. Now, the article also dives into different subtypes of regulation, which is interesting because it shows the different angles we could approach this from.
Right. It's not all just calming down in the moment. There's antecedent-focused regulation.
Antecedent, meaning before.
Exactly. This is stuff you do before the emotion fully kicks in. Being proactive.
Okay, like what?
Like maybe consciously avoiding situations you know are major triggers for you, or planning ahead for a stressful event, or even just intentionally shifting your mindset before you walk into a challenging meeting.
So setting yourself up for success, in a way, building a better environment for yourself emotionally.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's response-focused regulation. This is probably what most people think of first.
What you do after the feeling is already there.
Right. When you're already feeling anxious or upset, this is where things like deep breathing exercises come in, or consciously reframing your negative thoughts, calming yourself down in the moment.
Got it. Proactive and reactive strategies.
And there's a third one the article highlights, which is super important: external co-regulation.
Co-regulation
Yeah.
involving others.
Yes. How support from other people helps us regulate. It could be something as simple as a comforting hug, getting validation from someone who understands.
Or even, as the article mentions, a calming conversation with an AI companion like Ava.
Absolutely. Sometimes we need that external support to find our footing again. And the article points out very often we actually need a mix of all three types: the proactive planning, the in-the-moment calming, and the relational support.
That makes sense. We need a full toolkit.
We do.
Which brings us to a common misconception the article tackles head-on. This idea that emotional regulation means you should always be calm, like a Zen master all the time.
Yeah, that's such a myth, and it sets people up for failure. The article is really clear. The true goal isn't constant calm, it's flexibility.
Flexibility. Explain that a bit more.
It's the ability to feel your emotions, all of them, even the intense ones, process them without getting totally stuck, and then recover in a healthy way. You can still cry, feel anxious, get angry. Those are human.
Right.
But the difference is you're not completely hijacked by the emotion. You still have access to making choices. You can stay connected to your values. You can offer yourself compassion even while feeling upset.
That sounds like real emotional freedom, actually, that flexibility. But okay, why do some emotions feel so much harder to regulate than others for people?
That's a great question, and the article explores several factors. It's often really personal, isn't it? Like, for one person, sadness might feel okay to express, but anger feels really dangerous or forbidden.
Or vulnerability feels terrifying, but maybe irritation feels safer somehow.
Exactly. The article points to a few key influences. First, childhood experiences and emotional modeling. How were emotions handled in your family? Were feelings validated, or were they shut down, dismissed, maybe even punished? That lays a huge foundation.
What you learned by watching.
Definitely. Second, cultural and gender norms. Society gives us all sorts of spoken and unspoken rules about which emotions are acceptable for whom and how intensely they can be shown.
Yeah, you could see that clearly, like how grief is expressed differently across cultures or how anger might be perceived differently depending on gender.
Absolutely. Then there's past trauma or invalidation. If your feelings were consistently ignored or shamed, you learn, understandably, to suppress them or disconnect from them as a way to cope.
A survival strategy, really.
Mm-hmm. And the article also brings up neurodivergent processing differences. People with ADHD, autism, sensory processing issues often experience emotions more intensely or process them differently, which naturally affects regulation.
So it's not just about willpower.
Not at all. And finally, there's just biological sensitivity or temperament. Some nervous systems are just naturally more reactive. It's not a flaw, just a difference in wiring.
Wow. So it's this complex mix of biology, upbringing, culture, and personal history.
It really is. And the article invites you, the listener, to think about this. Were certain emotions more allowed than others in your family or culture growing up? How might that have shaped your emotional habits today? It's a powerful reflection.
Definitely food for thought. Okay, let's go deeper now into the inner workings, the neuroscience bit. Understanding how our brain and body actually respond to emotion helps make sense of why regulation can be tricky, but also why it's so important to practice.
Absolutely. And the article does a great job explaining your brain on emotion without getting too technical. So, our immediate emotional responses often start in the limbic system, especially the amygdala.
The amygdala, that's the brain's alarm system, right?
Exactly. Think of it as the rapid fire detector. When something stressful or potentially threatening happens, the amygdala triggers those primal fight, flight, freeze, or even fawn responses way before your thinking brain catches up.
So it's like danger first, ask questions later.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But in a well-regulated system, other parts of the brain step in to provide context and sort of calm the alarm.
Okay, who are the other players?
The main one is the prefrontal cortex, the PFC. This is your brain's executive center. Decision-making, reasoning, impulse control. That's the PFC's job.
So it's the part that can pause and think things through.
Right. It helps you assess, okay, is this really a major threat or is it just a strong feeling I can handle? It allows for that thoughtful response instead of just a knee-jerk reaction. The article also mentions the insula, which helps you tune into your body sensations.
Like noticing your heart rate or muscle tension.
Yeah. And the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, which helps you manage conflicting emotions and shift your focus.
So in a regulated state, these parts work together smoothly. The amygdala flags something, the insula gives body feedback, the PFC analyzes, and the ACC helps manage it all.
That's the ideal scenario. But what happens when that alarm system, the amygdala, gets completely overwhelmed? The article calls this an amygdala hijack.
Hijack sounds dramatic.
It feels dramatic. It happens when stress is too high, maybe trauma trigger is hit, or you're just overloaded. The amygdala essentially bypasses the PFC. Your thinking brain goes offline.
Whoa.
Yeah. Your brain acts like you're in immediate mortal danger, even if the trigger was, say, a critical email. That's why you might suddenly snap or freeze up and go blank or just feel completely flooded, unable to think straight. Your survival brain takes the wheel.
Okay, that explains a lot about those moments where you feel completely out of control. And this leads us right into another key concept from the article, Dr. Dan Siegel's window of tolerance.
Yes, this is such a useful model. The window of tolerance is basically that optimal zone where you can feel your emotions and function effectively at the same time.
The sweet spot.
Exactly. When you're in the window, you're alert but calm. You can think clearly, manage your feelings, connect with others, solve problems. You feel grounded and present.
Okay, that's the goal state. But what happens when we get pushed outside that window? The article mentions two states of dysregulation.
Right. On one side, you can go into hyperarousal, think high anxiety, anger, feeling totally overwhelmed, maybe restless or agitated. It's that too much, too fast, wired and tired feeling.
Fight or flight mode, basically.
Pretty much. On the other side, you can drop into hyperarousal. This is feeling numb, shut down, disconnected, maybe foggy or frozen. It's the not enough energy, tuned out state.
Freeze or fawn mode.
Often, yes. And the goal of emotional regulation, the article stresses, isn't to never leave the window, but to gradually expand it over time. So more situations feel manageable without tipping you into hyperarousal.
Expanding the window. That sounds like building resilience. And the article notes how trauma impacts this window, right? Makes it narrower.
Significantly. People with trauma histories often have a much narrower window. Their nervous systems are basically stuck on high alert, constantly scanning for danger because of past experiences. It's an adaptation, not a flaw.
So they get triggered more easily.
Exactly. Things that might seem small to others can push them outside their window very quickly, leading to those sudden outbursts or shutdowns. Their alarm system is just much more sensitive.
That makes so much sense. But the article offers real hope here, talking about neuroplasticity.
Yes, this is the amazing part. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change and rewire itself throughout life. It means we're not stuck with the patterns we learned.
So we can learn to regulate better even if we had difficult experiences.
Absolutely. We can build new neural pathways for regulation through practice, patience, and the right tools. Skills can be learned at any age. It's incredibly empowering. The article suggests starting by just noticing your own signals. Do you know what hyperarousal and hyperarousal feel like in your body? What are your cues? Tension, fatigue, heart rate? That self-awareness is key.
Noticing is the first step to changing. And speaking of the body, the article references Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's idea, the body keeps the score. What does that really mean for emotional regulation?
It means emotions aren't just thoughts in our heads, they are deeply embodied experiences. When we feel something strongly, our body is right there with us, reacting.
Like the racing heart, tense muscles, shallow breath.
Exactly. Sweaty palms, gut clenching. Those are real physical responses. Our body literally holds onto our emotional experiences and history.
So it's not just all in your head.
Not at all. And that's precisely why body-based tools are often so effective for regulation, as the article points out.
Because you're working directly with where the emotion is being felt physically.
Right. Things like breathing exercises, movement, grounding techniques, they directly influence your physiology. They help complete the emotional cycle and release stored tension in a way that just thinking about it might not achieve. Regulation is somatic, involving the body just as much as it's cognitive.
That mind-body connection is so crucial. Okay, let's shift perspective now and look at how regulation develops across our lives. The article emphasizes it's a lifelong journey.
It really is. It starts right in childhood, the foundation years. Babies aren't born knowing how to calm themselves down. They learn it.
How do they learn?
Primarily through co-regulation. That's when a calm, attuned adult helps them navigate big feelings and return to a sense of safety. Think of a parent soothing a crying baby, holding a toddler during a tantrum, validating their feelings.
So the adult acts like an external regulator until the child learns internally.
Exactly. They also learn through modeling, watching how their caregivers handle stress and express emotions, through narration, adults putting words to their feelings. You seem really frustrated right now. And through play, which is a huge way kids process emotions.
And if that co-regulation is inconsistent or missing.
Then the article notes kids might develop less healthy coping styles, like shutting down, becoming aggressive, or constantly avoiding difficult feelings. It really shapes their future patterns.
Makes sense. Then comes adolescence, emotional intensity turned up to 11.
Oh, yeah. Hormones are surging, and that prefrontal cortex, the rational brain, is still under major construction. So teens feel things very intensely, and their natural ability to self-regulate is still developing.
So they need extra support and understanding.
Desperately. The article stresses they need space to feel without judgment, gentle guidance on reflection and boundaries, and lots of validation. And this is where something like the Ava Mind app, mentioned in the article, can be a really valuable private space for them to process things without feeling judged.
A non-judgmental ear, available anytime. That's huge for teens. Okay, then we hit adulthood. And for many, it's about repair and relearning, right?
Often, yes. Adulthood is frequently when those early regulation gaps really show up and cause friction in relationships, parenting, work stress, burnout, dealing with grief. Life demands more emotional agility.
But the good news, again, is neuroplasticity. It's never too late.
Never too late to build these skills. That's such a consistent message in the article.
And the article takes a fascinating global perspective, too, showing how culture shapes all of this. It's not just a Western concept.
Not at all. Culture plays a massive role in what emotions are considered acceptable, how they're supposed to be expressed, and how they're regulated.
Can you give some examples from the article?
Sure. It mentions that in some East Asian cultures, there might be more emphasis on emotional restraint for group harmony. Expressing strong personal feelings publicly might be discouraged, whereas in many Western cultures, outward expression is often encouraged as being healthy and authentic.
Get it all out. Speak your truth.
Right. And then in many Latin American or African cultures, the article notes community connection and physical closeness often play a really central role in processing emotions together through shared rituals or just being physically present for each other.
So there's no single right way.
Definitely not. But understanding these cultural influences helps you reflect on your own patterns. Which ones feel genuinely yours, and which might be inherited expectations. The article prompts: what lessons were you taught explicitly or implicitly about expressing anger, sadness, or joy? That's a deep question.
Really makes you think about your emotional inheritance. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty now, the ripple effect. What happens when emotional regulation isn't strong? The consequences are pretty far-reaching, aren't they?
They really are. It impacts almost every area of life. The article starts with relationship turbulence. Unmanaged emotions can really damage connections.
How does that typically look?
It could be constantly overreacting to small things, snapping at your partner, escalating disagreements quickly.
Or the opposite, maybe. Shutting down, withdrawing emotionally during conflict.
Exactly. Passive aggression instead of direct communication. When regulation isn't there, it's hard to repair ruptures. Conflict just escalates or festers. It's no surprise that regulation skills are often ground zero in couples therapy.
Because it affects communication so profoundly. And it's not just relationships. The article says decision-making gets hijacked by emotion.
When you're dysregulated, that thinking brain, the PFC, is basically offline. You're running on pure emotion.
So you make impulsive choices.
Often, yes. Sending that angry text you regret. Spending money you don't have to numb sadness. Quitting a job in panic. Ignoring red flags because you're afraid of being alone. Regulation helps bring logic back online so you can make choices aligned with your values, not just your immediate feelings. The article asks, can you think of a time when emotion drove a decision you later questioned? We've all been there, right?
I think so. And this leads straight into mental health erosion. Poor regulation doesn't just feel bad. It contributes to actual mental health conditions.
Significantly, according to the article, it's linked to anxiety, depression, substance misuse, disordered eating, burnout. Basically, when emotions consistently feel unmanageable, it takes a huge toll.
Is there research on this?
Yes, the article cites a 2023 meta-analysis showing that emotional regulation difficulties are a common factor across many different mental health diagnoses. It's why therapies like CBT, DBT, and ACT focus so heavily on building these skills. They're foundational.
So it's a core mechanism, not just a side effect. And then there's the workplace fallout. Emotions don't stay home when we go to work.
They definitely follow us. Unregulated emotions at work can look like avoiding tough conversations, lashing out under pressure, excessive people-pleasing, chronic imposter syndrome, or just general disengagement.
Especially in high-stress jobs.
Absolutely. In fields like healthcare, teaching, emergency services, the article says regulation becomes a crucial survival skill for long-term well-being and effectiveness. It asks you to think about your own workday. Are there patterns where emotional stress builds up without a healthy release?
A really important question for workplace wellness. And finally, the article connects poor regulation to physical health impacts. This mind-body link again.
Yes, it's inescapable. Chronic emotional stress from poor regulation keeps cortisol levels high.
The stress hormone.
Right. And high cortisol over time can weaken the immune system, contribute to heart problems, cause digestive issues like IBS, disrupt sleep, and fuel chronic inflammation throughout the body.
Wow. So it's not just feeling stressed, it's actually impacting physical health outcomes.
Definitely. The article even mentions a study linking higher emotional suppression to higher rates of chronic illness later in life. It's a serious connection.
That is a definite wake-up call. Okay, so we understand the why regulation matters and the consequences of lacking it. Let's pivot to the how.
Yeah.
What does regulation actually look like in practice? The article gives some great real-world scenarios.
Yeah, these really help make it concrete. Take situation 1, conflict with a partner. Without regulation, it might escalate quickly, shouting, interrupting, storming off the silent treatment. Afterwards, there's often shame and disconnection.
Sounds familiar, unfortunately. How does it look with regulation?
With regulation, you notice the anger or frustration rising. You pause. You might say something like, I'm feeling really activated. Can we take a 20-minute break and come back calmer?
So you create space instead of reacting.
Exactly. The tools used there are body scanning, noticing the internal signals, deep breathing to calm the nervous system, and setting a clear boundary for space.
That's a game changer for conflict.
Yeah.
Okay, situation 2, public speaking anxiety, a classic fear. Without regulation.
Freezing up, mind going blank, talking way too fast, maybe even canceling, and then beating yourself up afterwards. I'm terrible at this.
Been there. How does regulation help?
You acknowledge the fear. Okay, nerves are here. That's normal. You use grounding techniques, maybe feeling your feet on the floor. You use affirmations. I'm prepared. I can handle this.
So you work with the anxiety, not against it. What are the key tools there?
Breath regulation is huge for immediate calming. Cognitive reframing, changing that negative self-talk. And maybe visualization, picturing a successful outcome.
Makes sense. And the last one, situation 3, email criticism at work. That can sting. Without regulation.
Obsessing over it, rereading it constantly, maybe firing back a defensive reply immediately, spiraling into self-doubt.
Yeah, easy to do with regulation.
You might close the email, walk away for a bit, breathe, come back when you're calmer, then you try to read it more objectively. Okay, what's the actual feedback here? What part is useful?
Creating distance and perspective. The tools.
Delay and distraction, stepping away. Naming and validating the emotion. Okay, I feel hurt, annoyed. And perspective shifting, moving from reactivity to analysis.
These examples really show the difference regulation makes. So for listeners wanting to build these skills, what's in the toolkit? The article offers a bunch of techniques and lifestyle anchors.
It does, organized really nicely. First up, breath and body-based techniques. These work directly on the nervous system.
Like box breathing.
Exactly. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Super calming. Also, things that stimulate the vagus nerve, like humming, singing, even splashing cold water on your face.
Interesting. What else for the body?
Progressive muscle relaxation, tensing, and releasing muscles to let go of physical tension. And grounding, really tuning into your senses right now, feeling your feet, noticing sights and sounds, anchoring yourself in the present.
Great for immediate relief. Then there are cognitive tools from CBT and ACT working more with the mind.
Right, like name it to tame it, saying, I'm noticing I feel anger instead of I am angry, creates distance.
Subtle but powerful.
Yeah. Cognitive reframing, challenging and changing those negative thoughts, I'm a failure, becomes I'm learning from this. Thought diffusion, seeing thoughts as just thoughts, like clouds passing by, not facts you have to obey.
Taking away their power.
Exactly. And values clarification, asking what really matters to me here to guide your response based on your core principles, not just the emotion of the moment.
Smart. What about expressive tools? Why are they helpful?
They help get emotions out safely, journaling, free writing, or using prompts, voice notes, talking it out loud, maybe to an AI like Ava, or just recording for yourself.
Getting it out of your head.
And creative expression, music, art, dance, ways to channel feelings non-verbally. Plus, of course, talking with a trusted friend, therapist, or an AI companion. Externalizing helps process.
And finally, lifestyle anchors. These are the foundational habits.
Yes, the things that support your baseline regulation every day. Consistent sleep, regular meals and hydration, getting out in nature, daily movement, and connection with safe people or supportive companions like Ava. These keep you more resilient overall. The article asks a good question here. Which of these tools have you tried? Which feel accessible right now?
It's a great menu to choose from. But okay,
Yeah.
if these tools exist and regulation is so beneficial, why is it still so hard sometimes? The article digs into common obstacles.
Yeah, this is important because knowing the obstacles helps us navigate them. Many of us just weren't taught these skills effectively. First, big barrier, emotional suppression.
The I'm fine syndrome.
Exactly. Pushing feelings down, telling yourself, don't be sensitive. It often comes from childhood messages, cultural norms, or shame. But the feelings don't disappear, right? They fester. They come out sideways. Resentment, panic, tension.
So the shift is towards expression.
Healthy expression, yeah. Journaling, voice notes, talking it out safely, letting the feeling have some air without judgment.
Okay. Obstacle 1, suppression. Obstacle 2, emotional flooding. The opposite.
Pretty much. Feeling too much too fast, overwhelmed. Happens in intense conversations with trauma triggers, sensory overload. Your thinking brain goes offline. You might cry uncontrollably, freeze, say things you don't mean.
So how do you shift from flooding?
Practice containment. Physical grounding helps cold water, ice, emotional containers like setting a timer for feeling the intense emotion, then shifting to a calming activity. Using supportive voice tools like Ava offers can help self-soothe in that intense moment.
Containing the wave. Third obstacle, disconnection from emotion. Feeling numb.
Yeah, or just really struggling to identify what you're feeling. Common with chronic stress, depression, trauma, or neurodivergence like alexithymia. The shift here is gentle reconnection.
Oh.
Body scans to notice physical sensations. Using check-in prompts, maybe with Ava. Using a feelings wheel to build vocabulary. Engaging with art or music to access feelings non-verbally. Small steps back towards awareness.
Gently feeling your way back. And the last obstacle sounds very relatable. Internalized criticism or perfectionism.
Oh, yeah. That harsh inner voice, I shouldn't feel this, I'm overreacting, get over it. This blocks regulation because you can't soothe something you're judging as wrong or weak.
You're fighting yourself.
Exactly. The shift is towards emotional permission. Gently telling yourself, it's okay to feel this. This makes sense given the situation. This feeling is uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean I'm bad. Self-compassion is key here. It is active regulation. The article asks you to reflect. When you get upset, do you tend to explode, shut down, or disconnect? How did your early experiences teach you to cope?
Those are really insightful barriers. Now, the article specifically talks about how an AI companion, like Ava Mind, can help with the daily practice of these skills.
Right, because regulation isn't a one-off fix, it's ongoing practice. And Ava Mind is designed as that kind of companion, whether you need support in a tough moment or you're proactively building habits.
How does it offer that real-time support?
Well, the article mentions the 24/7 text or voice chat. You can talk through feelings without judgment. It offers step-by-step grounding, guided breathing, helps you use CBT tools to reframe thoughts, kind of like a pocket therapist that's always available.
That accessibility is huge. And it mentioned daily check-ins.
Yeah, gentle prompts like what emotion feels closest right now or what helped you feel safe today. These are designed to build that foundational emotional literacy through consistent small moments of reflection.
Making self-awareness a habit. And there's audio content, too.
A library of audio blogs and guided tools. Things like how to soothe yourself without shutting down. So you can learn and practice by listening, even just for a few minutes. It makes the concepts really practical.
And it even mentioned future features like tracking patterns.
Yes, tracking things like overwhelm triggers, which tools you use, maybe seeing how your window of tolerance expands over time, using data for self-awareness. The article also stresses Ava Mind is for everyone, parents, teens, professionals, and mentions Ava Connect for sharing insights securely with a human therapist if needed.
Sounds like a really integrated support system. Finally, the article makes a really important point about emotional regulation for neurodivergent minds. It's not one size fits all, is it?
Absolutely not. The article really validates that people with ADHD, autism, OCD, sensory differences often experience and regulate emotions differently. Maybe more intense spikes, difficulty naming feelings, alexithymia, sensory sensitivities causing overwhelm, rejection sensitivity.
So typical advice might not work as well.
It might not. The article emphasizes that if you're neurodivergent, you're not broken, you're wired differently. Such an important message.
Totally. So what strategies are helpful, according to the article?
Things like predictability routines, structure, visual tools, emotion thermometers, timers, lots of body-based regulation movement, stimming, pressure, rehearsal for tricky situations, and importantly, gentle self-accommodation, permission to leave, stim, rest, not force yourself into a neurotypical box. It suggests creating your own regulation menu based on what works for your wiring.
Personalized and validating. And Ava Mind itself adapts.
The article says it's trained to adapt to different communication styles, typing, talking, short words, emojis, voice notes, skipping small talk, making it accessible for diverse ways of processing and expressing.
That adaptability sounds key. Wow, this has been such a rich, deep dive into emotional regulation. It's so clear, isn't it, that the goal isn't perfect calm. It's about building this honest, compassionate, and ultimately more choiceful relationship with our own inner world.
Exactly. That's the heart of it in the article. You don't have to master it instantly. That pressure can actually get in the way. The real progress comes from just starting. One breath, one pause, one check-in. Choosing curiosity about your feelings instead of criticism. That's how the muscle grows.
Building that flexibility and resilience step by step. And that's really where resources like the Ava Mind app, which the article explores, can be such a valuable companion in that daily practice.
Absolutely. And if you want to explore the full article we've been discussing today, really delve into all the details, you can find it on Ava Mind's blog. We'll put the links in the description of this deep dive.
Great.
And it's worth noting, if you're interested in an audio version of the blog or maybe a more condensed summary, those are available exclusively within the Ava Mind app itself. Perfect for listening on the go.
Fantastic. Well, we'll be back with more thoughts soon.
Stay curious.